Hey, what's going on, y'all? Good morning. It is Thursday, February 26th, just on my way to work as usual. And today I just kind of want to encourage finding a rhythm in life, just finding that rhythm that you enjoy. I think a lot of times we're trying to get better every single day. I think that's obviously the meaning of life is to try and get better every day, leave this world better than we found it. I think that if you do that, you're achieving your goal, your meaning, and you're serving life. You're serving light if you can do that, if you're making this world better, if you're just a positive influence on the people around you. You don't cut too deep. I mean, we all have our moods. We've all made mistakes. You don't want to live in that guilt by any means. And if you've really cut anyone too deep, kind of on a not literally, but if you did cut someone literally, yeah, you have a lot of forgiveness to ask. But um, on an emotional level, yeah, I mean, I think if you cut someone too deep, you definitely want to rectify that and find ways to serve and all that. But there's a rhythm in life. There's a wave in life. We all have bad moments. So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself, but also try to find that rhythm that fits you, fits your personality, fits your joy, fits what you're attracted to, fits your creativity, and fits who you are. It's just like kind of listening to your favorite music. I think that obviously I want to promote being higher conscious. Like, I mean, I don't want to promote like listening to just kind of music that is just kind of very scattered, that may scatter the brain, or that may have words in there that's very demeaning. I mean, sure, I think at times it can be beneficial, or to just kind of vent out and let loose, but at the same time that can't be I think a consistent habit if you're wanting to raise your consciousness level. I'm not trying to, like, I don't want to promote like perfection by any means, but at the same time I think consistency in higher conscious activities, higher conscious um, creative efforts is definitely something I want to promote, because I think if you do that over time, your brain will start to chemically change, and you'll start practicing better coping mechanisms, right? Because we're going to get stressed at the end of the day. Everyone's going to get stressed. And how you manage that stress, how you handle that stress at a high conscious level is takes practice. It takes practice, because I think a lot of us, when stress occurs, we go for the cheap dopamine. We go for the cheap hits, the cheap soothing activities. Whether you know what I mean, and I think you know them all. You know them. You know the ones that you've kind of been attracted to, over time, and it can change. From some of the things that soothed you as a child, or as in your teenage years, as a young adult, as an adult, whatever. It's gonna evolve over time, but you also don't want to let it take over your life, or let those cheap dopamine habits become too prevalent in your life. You want to manage it. I think there's a time and a place for sure. You know, but at the same time, I think if you can practice really good habits, and practice good ways to deal with those stressful situations, then you're on your way. And what that means is that requires a rhythm. That requires practice, a rhythm that you just kind of easily fall into. And really, what that means is, I think that's where breathing and awareness, forgiveness and gratitude all come into play. Because when a stressful situation occurs, I think number one, breathe in through your nose, take a deep breath through your nose. Control your breathing. You know, I think a lot of us just kind of go haywire, and that means your heart rate's going to accelerate. And your heart rate accelerates, that means your brain's going to start firing a little bit more crazy. So you might start getting just the manic thoughts, whatever behavior or thought patterns you have, are going to accelerate when your heart rate accelerates in a stressful moment. So yeah, I think the key definitely is to control your breath, and there's several ways to do that. I'm not going to bore you with any of those, but an easy one is just take just take a simple deep breath through your nose and exhale slowly. I think that's number one, an easy way to kind of calm down and try to control. and manage the thoughts that are coming in your mind, and try to find that gratitude, try to find that peace, you know, because things are going to happen. Just because you're annoyed, just because you're mad, doesn't mean that you have to show that to the people around you. Doesn't mean that you have to show that to the environment or bring that out in the environment. In fact, in a lot of situations, it's to your benefit to keep that close to your vest. Especially in like work or negotiation situations, you want to keep that close to the chest. A lot of times, uh, even in relationship arguments or environments, a lot of times people are trying to press your buttons. Do you really want to allow them that type of power over you? I don't think so. I think real power is exercised when you're able to control how you react and what you output into the world. And that means having control of the internal and what's going on in your mind, and just being strategic with what that output is to the world. And boy, does that take practice. And that's something that our economy, our like government and society does not want you to be like. They don't want you to be an evolved being that thinks things through. At the end of the day, unfortunately, there's no money to be made there. You're not predictable, and when you're predictable, you're a good consumer when you're predictable. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. And I'll leave that there. I'm hitting some traffic. Kind of my Thursday thoughts for today. I hope they're a benefit to you. As always, I want to pass on some blessings and love to you. Thank you for listening. Take care. Peace.